everyone. So today we're really lucky again. We have Alice Deering here with us, and she's one of the best open water swimmers that the world has. So she's done lots of different things with her career. She started off at a junior level. In about 2014, she was World Junior Open Water Champion. She then went on, achieved lots more. She got bronze in the Europeans in 2015. And in 2016, she actually became the 10K World Open Water Champion. So fantastic result there. And she's now gone on to her senior career as well. So in 2015 and 2019, she's competed at the World Aquatics Championships, the Open Water Championships. But it's not just swimming that Alice is about. She's also studying at Loughborough University, doing her social media and political communications degree. And really excitingly, in 2019, I think it was in December, she got nominated by The Telegraph as one of the top 50 women who have made an impact within their sport, which is really, really impressive. So thank you so much for being here with us today, Alice. How are you?
Yeah, thanks. No, thanks for having me. And I'm good, thanks. Yeah, I'm keeping well.
Good.
Awesome. So how have you been coping with the lockdown, Alice? What have you been getting up to? Any time for any extra hobbies, or you still...
To be honest, I haven't been doing much different, obviously, apart from being out of the water. And in that sense, I've kind of like, I've been going on an exercise bike, been doing just general land work at home. I've made like a living room gym, I suppose. Just been doing that. But other than that, I've kind of kept everything the same. I've been playing a lot of video games, which I did anyway. And I've had uni work to get on with. I've had various other bits to do around like my career, like outside of swimming and stuff like that. So I've just kind of kept everything the same. I haven't actually picked up anything new, which I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
Well, you were just telling us, each to their own. You were just telling us before we started recording that you're actually got more social now than normally. Normally quite isolated, and now probably non-stop.
So where are you staying in that now? What's your situation with that?
Yeah, I'm currently living with my boyfriend and his parents at their house in Surrey. And it's more social in the sense that I'd normally just like kind of be in my room all day at uni, like doing work, sleeping, video games. And I would see my housemates and chat to them. I'm not a hermit, but like now I'm just like, because I'm just around the house and stuff. Like I'm talking to them more, and like I talk to people more every hour, if that makes sense. So I'm actually become more social, which is probably the wrong way.
Yeah, the opposite problem that everybody else is having right now.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So on to your swimming career a little bit more. Obviously, we all know that Tokyo has now been postponed. So what happens for you now with that?
Yeah, it's kind of a blessing, I think, personally. Like I'm at the younger end of my like event age. So like the peak age for open water women's like I think 24 or so. So that works quite well in my favour, that I'll be more towards the peak range when I get to the event, hopefully if I qualify. But anyway, I was literally meant to be qualifying if this didn't all happen in about 2 weeks from now, 2 or 3 weeks. But obviously that's all been cancelled. It's been pushed back another year. And the qualification for the marathon race will be the 29th or the 30th of May 2021. And then I don't know when the race is, but yeah, that'll be it. And just got another year to train and prepare for it, basically, which is like, that's very fortunate that that's happened, because if they tried to put the Olympics on when it was supposed to be, there'd be no chance anybody would be fit enough to do like 100 meters, let alone a marathon. So yeah, it was the right decision.
Yeah.
Where was the race you were supposed to be competing in?
It's meant to be in Fukuoka in Japan, and I think it still will be next year, which is also where Worlds is going to be. It's now Worlds 2022, but it was going to be Worlds 2021. So I think it's like the same. I'm guessing it's like the same venue and stuff.
Okay. So obviously we've just had some news out from British Swimming yesterday, I think it was, about sort of gradually phasing in return to pools, swimming, leisure centres and all of that kind of stuff. Where do you sit with that? Have you heard anything?
No, yeah, I'm anxiously waiting to find out if I'll be one of the first athletes to be allowed back into the water. I've messaged the open water lead, and I think the discussions were happening this morning, and I'll hopefully find out soon. And then I imagine British Swimming will release the swimmers who are on it. But yeah, I'm not sure if I'm on it or if I'll be one of the few. So I hope so, but like I'm being, was it hopeful but realistic maybe, because it depends if they've only got a certain number of spaces. It will obviously go to the athletes who they're looking to medal at the Olympics and stuff. So obviously I want to medal myself, don't get me wrong, but like but you know, the way the whole like system works, that's just how it works, and that's how things go. But yeah, hopeful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there any way you guys open water swimmers can train open water now? Is that an option for you guys?
Yeah, the government has said you can, but I've heard there's not a lot of lifeguards out, and like venues are still saying that they'll stay closed and that there won't be people supervising them. So like personally, I'm not planning on doing it. It's probably too cold for me at the moment anyway. I'm definitely not a cold water swimmer. But yeah, it might be too cold. The shock can be horrible, and if you don't know how to cope with that, I really don't recommend getting into open water swimming now. I think Kerry-Ann said a really good statement about it. Like, now's not the time to pick up a new sport like that, especially open water swimming, because it is quite dangerous in some aspects, and you need guidance around it. So I mean, I'm very experienced, and I won't be doing it.
Yeah, no, I saw that from Kerry-Ann actually a day or two ago. And yeah, I felt like it was quite sensible, especially people have got more time on their hands, and if the weather's good, they think, oh, great, what a great idea. That's, you know,
go jumping on a lake.
Yeah, and she was saying, like you said, cold water shock is a really serious thing. I don't think people realise, even with a wetsuit, it can still affect you.
Yeah.
Like lifeguards and everything else. And the last thing we want to do right now is put the pressure on the NHS. So yeah, I think for you guys as professionals in the sport to be saying that is very profound.
Yeah. Excellent. So you're quite motivated for next year then. It's good that this has sort of worked out. It's made you more social and you've got more time to train ready for next year. Did you initially have a bit of a lack in motivation with the lockdown and all that kind of stuff? Or did you feel like still got plenty of time ready for next year? Is it still a blessing, do you think, right from the off? Or was it a bit?
It was, yeah, I really struggled initially. I'm not going to lie. Like, especially because when we first got locked down, we didn't know anything about the Olympics being changed yet. Obviously, it was all being called for, but I remember like the first or second day that it happened, that we got locked down, the Olympic organising committee or the Prime Minister of Japan, one of them was like, "Oh, the Olympics are going ahead this summer," and in my head, I was like, "Oh my god! Like, I've got qualification in 8 weeks. I can't train." I was at the best point of my swimming career as well. I was training really well. I was in a really good mindset about absolutely everything in my life, and it really knocked me back that like I questioned myself whether I'll be able to get into the same mind frame again, because I'd really like dialed up to 100 to just make sure I'd done absolutely everything to get me to the games potentially. And I question myself, as like, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can bring myself back up to that point if I need to. And then like 2 weeks rolled around and the Olympics were postponed, the qualification race was postponed, and I just gave my mind a rest. I was like, you know what, there's absolutely nothing you can do right now. It's literally completely out of your hands. You've done absolutely everything you can. Just give yourself a break. You don't need to put pressure on yourself right now. And that's basically what I told myself. And I arrived at a really good place with it now. Like, I'm excited to be back in the water whenever I can, but I'm just going to be like, I'm back in when I am. There's nothing I can do again in that sense. I just need to go with the flow, accept what's happening. And I've just become quite relaxed about it all now, and kind of grateful for the time to help sort out certain things in my life that I needed to put more time into but didn't have the time to do. And I think I'm in a really good place.
Oh,
Good.
It's good to hear. That's really interesting to hear that you felt like your initial thought wasn't, I'll not be able to get back into this physical form, but the mental form, that mental place. Where you I think people might think that are not athletes, that's kind of a given. That's an easier thing to do. It's the missing the training that would be the physical training. What had got you to such a good mental place leading into what was going to be your trials this year?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, I don't know. I was really enjoying it. I was training well. I'd really committed to wanting to go to the Olympics. Like, I've always been tried to be one of those cool swimmers that are like, oh, I'm not that bothered about swimming. Like, I always pretended to be that. But this lockdown really made me realise that I really enjoy it and really do love the sport. And I never thought that's something that I'd admit, to be honest. It sounds really bad, but it's been a really good wake-up call for me, and like a blessing in disguise to show me that I really do want to do this. And before that, I was really enjoying it. I suppose we'll get onto it in a bit, but around the Black Swimming Association and like using my voice to help get like absolutely everybody into swimming, like anybody, any colour, race, background, whatever. We want to get everybody into swimming, and I'd really found like a good purpose in that, and it's given me a more positive view on the sport, that I can help make an impact to it instead of rather being just involved in it. I can help influence it in a way, is what I've kind of like rationalized in my head. And then because of that, I wanted to get better, so I had more profile for myself and could show people what can be done in the sport, if that makes sense. So it was kind of like a chain reaction that kept going around in my head, and just kept enjoying it more.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, so we will get on to about the Black Swimming Association and everything around that you're doing. But for you in your own career at the moment as a professional athlete, do you still have that goal of being the first black swimmer for Great Britain at the Olympic Games?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. It's difficult because I'm like, yeah, that's such like a cool like bit of history to be a part of, I guess. But at the same time, I'm like, I wish it didn't have to be me, because obviously there's like so much just came with it, so much absolute tons of positivity, but also a little bit of negativity. And like, it's difficult because I don't want to be remembered as the first black swimmer for Britain at the Olympics. Like, I don't really want that. I kind of wish my race wasn't a factor in it, but at the same time, I have to recognise that it is a factor in it, due to the way black people are viewed, not only in swimming, but also viewed themselves in swimming. Like, you talk to a general normal black person, they'll either say black people don't swim, or I don't swim, or you just black people sink when they get in the water, something around that. And I just think I have a point to prove by saying, like, look, this is a sport for everybody. You don't have to cancel yourself out of it because of your skin colour.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, it's obviously a subject that's really close to your heart and you're really passionate about. So you are involved with the Black Swimming Association. Can you tell us a little bit about that, and where your involvement lies within it as well?
Okay, cool. It's basically, there's currently 4 of us. We all like founded it together back in November, I think, and then we went public in March. Like, I did a big press release around it. It's basically just promoting the welfare and inclusion of everybody in swimming. We have called it the Black Swimming Association because it is a striking name. It's kind of like, oh, okay, it kind of hits you in the face, like that's the best way to describe it. It hits you in the face, and we've got a point to prove around it. We are not just looking for black people, which I think both black and white people have tried to criticise us on. For example, we have a picture of a black man being taught how to swim by a white person on the website, and somebody messaged us saying that we should have just black people, but that's not the point. We're not looking to disclude anybody from the sport. We're just making the point that black people at the moment need a lot more help around getting in the water and getting knowledge on the sport, or just the general activity of swimming, because the statistics, oh my god, I'm trying to recall them now. I think it's like 90% of black adults don't swim, and 80 or 85% of black children don't swim. And these are really high numbers, and we just need to make people aware that swimming is a sport that can literally save your life, but also have great benefits to it: fitness, personally, from my perspective, I've made a career out of it, teaching, coaching. Like, it's like, as you both know, it's huge, and it can really help impact people. And I just don't want people to think it's not for them because of their race.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's a life-saving skill. Like, regardless of it being a sport, it is a life-saving skill.
Yeah.
I always say to kids in assemblies that I do, it's one of the only, well, it is the only sport I think that can save your life. So it's important to know how to do it. And like you say, the numbers are quite shocking of adults and children that aren't able to swim. Do you think it is like a cultural issue that affects that, or is it something?
Yeah.
Like, is there lots of different factors maybe?
Yeah, there are loads of factors. Culture's always the one I go to first, because I'll always say it's like a generational issue. It's been ingrained into Black people that swimming isn't for them. It's probably started like back in the 50s, 60s, especially in America, where like swimming pools weren't for Black people. You weren't allowed to go swimming if you were Black. And then it trickles down into things like, we had someone write into the Black Swimming Association who was a swimming teacher in the 70s, 60s or 70s. And he was told to push Black people away from swimming and into athletics because it wasn't for them. And I mean, if you're told that as a young person, age 12, back in the 60s, that swimming's not for you, you haven't learned to swim, you might not put your child into swimming, they might not put their children into swimming. And this is where we've ended up with this huge issue of aquaphobia in adults being trickled down into their children. And Black people thinking, I haven't had a need to swim in my life. My children don't need it. And it's an understandable train of thought, but also it's also a very dangerous one, because I mean, there's like going to the beach, like you basically can't go in the water if you don't know how to swim. It'd be terrifying for you. And it's little things like that. It's not fair to impose such a view onto a whole generation of people and marginalise them in that way. And then, sorry, I've just got that. This is ended up being a really long answer. But also, there's economical issues, like generally in like inner city areas, Black people, ethnic minorities might not have enough money to put their children into swimming, and if they haven't learned at school, the chances are they won't pick up on it in later life. Hair's also a topic that I get asked about a lot. Like, obviously I've got an afro and I swim. It's not the easiest thing in the world. I'm not going to pretend it is, but like,
I was going to actually ask you about that. How do you cope? Because you're, but how do you have to later?
It's just, I literally just plait it, or if I don't plait it, I'll just put loads of product in it. Like, I'll always tell people it's honestly not that difficult. Like, I'm quite a low maintenance person in that way. Like, I can't really be bothered with how I look sometimes. And so, I suppose that's a swim thing. But I just, if I can cope with it, trust me, anybody else can cope with it. There's special hats out there now that cater for larger hair. And like, they are easily accessible. And there's loads of different kinds as well to be able to protect your hair when you go swimming. I personally don't use them because at Loughborough we have to use a certain swimming cap. But I mean, I still manage with that fine, even when it's like this big. So yeah.
We just come back from a school in Angola. There's obviously Black swimmers out there, and one of the swim teachers that uses the pool, he had like massive dreadlocks, like right the way down to the bottom of his back. So he had one of those extra, like a swimming cap rasta hat his hair into it. That was really funny to see. That was huge.
It's slightly coloured as well, which made it even better.
So you can't get these extra large hats, I guess, to suit everybody. It's a really interesting topic. I assume that once you got into this was something you had to do a lot of research and learn a lot about. Like you just saying, the people you mentioned back in the 60s, 70s, sure you probably didn't know the history and things. I mean, it's quite interesting, whereas these days we have got people like Simone Manuel, like Olympic champions. In fact, the other day that Anthony Irving was actually mixed race, which I didn't realise that at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's got Native American.
Some Native American, I think.
On one of his, either his father, paternal side.
Yeah.
Who was Because I've always sort of looked up to him because he was Olympic champion. He was very young, took a long time away from the sport, and then he came back as the oldest ever swimming Olympic champion at 36 in Rio. So yeah, and Dan did
That's cool.
as well. Didn't know that either.
Yeah.
All these athletes out there that's sort of breaking that stereotype, like you said before, that it's not for us. Like go and do athletics. Yeah, so how was the Black Association, so it's called Black Swim Association, promoting this message? What are you doing to encourage? Is it just mainly focused on adults, or is it on children, or is it everybody?
Yeah. Are you heading into schools or anything, or?
Yeah. We've got loads in the pipeline that's obviously all been set back because of COVID. But I think they've had loads of schools asking me to go in and talk. We're looking to set up dry swimming clinics. Basically, I think targeting children, but then also we have to make the point of addressing adults as well. So we are going like the whole age range and across the whole spectrum. Like, for example, you've got me at like the top end of the sport, I suppose. And then one of the other co-founders is literally still learning to swim. He's a grown man. I don't want to guess his age, but he's a grown man still learning to swim. Just in case I get it wrong, you might be offended with me, but yeah.
Just go young.
Yes, let's say 20, 25. He's still learning to swim. So we literally, everybody like involved in it, the four of us, we have very different perspectives on sport, which I think is such a blessing because like we can just learn from each other and know what the community requires around this. But yeah, we're looking to go into schools, talk to like different groups of children, especially in high baying areas in London, Birmingham to start with, and just educate on the need for water safety, and hopefully just get some engagement with it, and hopefully inspire some kids to get into the activity, let alone the sport. Just learning to swim, basic, get your 25-meter badge or something like, and then hopefully they'll tell their parents, and their parents will be like, oh, I want to give it a try. But yeah, there's a lot going on around it, and I think we've got a partnership with Swim England as well at the moment, and the STA, and so yeah, so like it's a lot.
Yeah, it's amazing though. It's brilliant.
Yeah, so you mentioned at the start the dry swimming.
Dry swimming sessions.
Dry swimming. How do they work?
Yeah, I think it's I haven't been involved in that side of it, to be honest. I'm like the lead ambassador around it, so looking at like relations with other athletes and like the kind of the brand side of it. But I think with the dry swimming, what that is literally it's displaying to people what to do. For example, if you get to a beach and like, what does this flag mean if you see that on the beach? What do you do if there's no lifeguard? At swimming pools, like it sounds odd. I suppose it's odd for like coming from a swimming perspective, but there's certain things at a swimming pool that we just know about, but the people might not be aware of. And like I know from an open water perspective, that's definitely I had a bit of a wake up call with that. Like the knowledge that I have around it isn't like specialist knowledge. It's not general knowledge. And I think for young children as well, who they might not be doing, like you're meant to swim at school, but some of them don't. I don't know how that doesn't happen, but it doesn't. And just teaching them around, like, this is what happens at swimming pools, I think, especially with beaches as well, and like lifeguarding and just protecting themselves with swimming when they go somewhere that has water. I think if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, we were just thinking like, oh, practically, how would you do that? Like,
oh right, yeah, no. Yeah, it's more like what goes on around swimming. I don't think it's actual like physical swimming.
That makes more sense.
That's hard to do. Yeah. So how did, obviously you've said that a lot of people are deterred from going swimming because, like you said, that coach in the 70s said, like, used to redirect people to athletics. How did you get involved with swimming? Was it just that your parents really encouraged you to do it and you loved it, or what made you kind of take that leap forwards into swimming?
Okay, so I was learning to swim at the local swimming pool doing the council lessons, and my mum saw the notice board for the local swimming club, and she just like called them or emailed them or something and put me and my brother in on sessions with them. And we did like 2 or 3 sessions a week, and I think we absolutely loved it. We got really into it, like really keen little, like we turned up to every session like 20 minutes early, like really keen. And we just absolutely loved it and like really fell in love with it. And it was a shame for my brother because he got into it when he was 13 and I was 8 at the time, and that's like, it seems quite old to get into swimming because obviously you've missed like key years of development and stuff. So he didn't progress to a high level as me, but he got into teaching and coaching and was really good at that. And that's the part that I can never do. Like I can't explain to someone how to swim, like I just can't do it. But he was really good at that, and he got into that side. But then I carried on with swimming and progressed to the elite level. And just it's like, sorry, going back to the race thing, I never really noticed that like I was different sometimes. Like sometimes it slaps me in the face, but generally I didn't notice. I was just like a swimmer on poolside. But then I had like a few like instances where other people didn't see me the way I saw myself, which that's just how it goes sometimes. But and yeah, my mum just kept encouraging me. Like I think every swimmer has those highs and lows where I think at least once a year I wanted to quit, I'm not gonna lie. But she really encouraged me to keep going because she knew how much I loved it and how lost I'd be without it, I think. Because like she said, even when in some holidays I'd get so bored at home without swimming. So I was always like, oh, why does she keep encouraging me? But it makes like, it was a no-brainer now looking back on it. Like she obviously could see something I could have. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. I mean, when you were younger, or even kind of still now, who do you see as your role models? Who do you look up to?
Oh my god. Okay. Serene. Oh my god. She swam at Loughborough for a bit. Swedish sprinter Therese. Therese. Yeah. Oh my god. I loved her when I was younger. It's really ironic because I've ended up going into the complete opposite end of the sport, into like distance swimming, and she was
a sprinter, yeah.
Yeah. But I really liked the way she held herself when she came out for races and stuff. Like I really liked her, and like I said, we were really keen, so we watched absolutely every championship that was on TV at the time, Europeans, commies, everything that was on Eurosport swimming we would watch. And I just remember watching her and just falling in love with like the way she swam and like how she was, because she was really smiley. Yeah, I think she was the main one that I'll always bring up, because when I was younger, like I looked up to her and I was like, oh, I want to be like her. But obviously I'm not like her now because I can't sprint.
But you can keep going. So.
And she's about 6'2" or something as well. She's really.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, could it be more opposite? But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just for kind of those at home that might be really interested in taking open water swimming further, like yourself, you don't have to be big or muscly or anything. I mean, you're not, are you? I mean, how tall are you?
Yeah, I'm like 5'4.5", 5'5". Yeah. Yeah, I'm petite. I am one of the more petite open water swimmers. But honestly, like anybody can do it. You have women who are 6 foot plus, some who are like my height, but like stockier, I guess, like stronger than me. I'm obviously very petite, not just height, but also frame wise. But like you literally get every single body type in open water swimming. And if you look at the top 10, there's no cookie cutter body shape to be. And I think that's the beauty of it, especially I don't know if you've seen that chart, but it's like the men's and women's heights for the 50 to the marathon race, and you just see it gradually decline down for the average height. I'll see if I can dig it up and send it to you. I can't remember, it was on Twitter somewhere, but you just see it gradually decline. And it's nice to know that like swimming's always marketed it as a sport for the tall and the strong, but like I really don't think that's the case anymore. Like Hannah Miley's always the example, isn't she, of being the petite swimmer, and she's phenomenal. Like I really think it's for everybody. It sounds corny, but it really is. So yeah.
No, you're right. I totally agree. And I think the thing with swimming, the beauty of it is that because it's non-weight bearing, you're in water, it's not how strong you are in comparison to other people. It's how strong you are in relation to your own weight and things like that.
Yes.
What you're having through the water, the resistance that the water's then offering you because of your size otherwise. So I feel like your strength is, you know, it's not comparable at all to other people. So when you're kind of looking at how big other people's muscles are compared to yours, it makes absolutely no sense at all.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. We do get a lot of swimmers, and sometimes parents coming up, oh, they're just too tall, should they stop swimming? They're like, they're not tall enough type of thing. And you're like, well, no, like obviously not. Like you can always find those examples of, you know, not fitting into the mold, like you said. So I just went back to the like swimming association. I just wondered how it's going. Obviously, things are in lockdown now. It's slowed it down. You guys have been running since, you say, March? Is that of this year?
Launched in March.
Yeah, we went like public in March of this year, but then we've been running since, oh my God, I think we came up with a name and everything in about October, November time.
Okay.
But yeah, it's running really well. We have weekly meetings. We've all got stuff like to do. We've got our individual tasks behind the scenes and stuff. And it's difficult because everybody else has full-time jobs. I mean, I don't have a full-time job myself, but I'm a student, I'm swimming, like one of them's a journalist, one of them's a full-time mum. Like it's a lot going on for everybody, but we always find the time to sit down and do all this stuff. And like it's non-profit, like we haven't made one penny from what we're doing, the hours that we put in, but it's a genuine love and passion to want to improving people's quality of lives and like helping make a change to people, because I can't imagine my life without swimming, so I don't want to imagine other people's lives without swimming, if that makes sense.
No, that's beautiful. Yeah. So what do people need to do if they want to like learn more, get involved? Like, where is there anywhere they can go or follow you in your journey?
Oh, cool. Yeah. The Black Swimming Association, we have our website. It's the BSA. I think it's .co.uk. But if you type in Black Swimming Association on Google, we'll come up. We're on Instagram and Twitter as well. So Black Swimming Association. And then also I'm on Instagram and Twitter. I'm just Alice Deering. But yeah, if you want to get involved, go follow the Black Swimming Association. And just like keep up to date with everything we've got going on. And then there's also a section on the website where you can email us. And if you have any stories around anything, and this doesn't just have to be Black people, it's Black, white, Asian, absolutely anything. If you've got anything around diversity or inclusion within swimming, we'd love to hear your stories, because we're not just looking at Black people. I know the name's Black Swimming Association, but we're not just looking at Black people. We also want to look into like the class issues that are involved within swimming. For example, like I have a very close friend who comes from a very working class background in Middlesbrough, and he credits absolutely everything to his parents getting him into swimming, because he would have ended up like messing around on the council estate, not doing much with his life, but swimming helped get him to university, and now he's at a well-paying job in London. And it's stories like that that we want to hear and showcase to display that swimming can impact your life in a very positive way.
That's fantastic.
Brilliant. And I think that's a really nice note to actually leave that on. People can go and find out more where you've just said. So yeah, I mean, thank you so much for today, Alex. It's really nice to speak to you, and really interested in hearing, you know, your thoughts around everything and what you're doing outside of swimming as well.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, people follow Alice, give her a follow next year, and get involved with everything she's been talking about. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and best of luck
Thank you.
for your training and for Tokyo next year.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.